everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I have for you today 2 alternative cards to this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit, which is called Welcome In. Let's get started. Here is just a quick look at the kit. Comes with some really cute bling, which I didn't use on the cards, but you could, and I'll talk about that hopefully later. Stampin' Spot this month is Night of Navy. Here is the stamp set. So some flowers in a vase and then some embellishments. I love this. Thank you for your hospitality. There's welcome, you're invited, a little stem for the flowers, and friend. And they talk about, there's a little insert that talks about the coordinating suite, which is the Country Inn suite. And we will be using that paper today along with some others. And there's an add-on, which I have too, which is the Welcome In dies. And they are right here. And we will be using some of those today as well. So those dies are available at stampinup.com. If you need help ordering them, reach out and I can help you. And as always, there's a little sneak peek to next month's, which looks like it has a beach theme and is very bright and colorful. So I'm excited to see that. Here are the cards as you would make them if you made them the way they come in the kit. Always remember to double check to make sure that you have everything in the kit, and if not, reach it out to Stampin' Up! And they will send it to you. That has happened to me on occasion, so it's important to do. And we will get started with the project. Here is the first card. And you can see that it uses that wonderful designer series paper that goes with the suite. It is called Countryside Inn, and I am going to show it right away because I tend to forget sometimes at the end. But these are the gorgeous papers. And when you see your kit, you'll notice that this is also the same exact design that's used on one of the card bases. And this one coordinates nicely with one of the vases. Here's the other side, the neutral, more neutral side to coordinate. So I will show you both cards using those papers, but we're going to make the cards using different ones. Since Stampin' Up! Is having a designer series paper sale this month, I wanted to feature some of the other ones as well. So let's put that aside and get started. I am using for this first card the Masterfully made designer series paper, and I'm going to show you that first as well. Here are these gorgeous papers. I love them because they're bright and bold and just have beautiful color combinations. This one I think is my favorite. And I will show you the back sides that coordinate. I love this one too, so pretty. So those are the ones that we will be using for this project. And I love this project because it is so simple and yet it looks so pretty. So I am starting with a basic white card base, just like I did for this one, even though you can't tell. And I will let you know also what I did for this one. As soon as I get my edge crease there. Got a messy little table today. So for this one, whoops, there's another little bits of glue everywhere. For this one, I actually used Night of Navy, the card bases that come with the kit, and I cut them in half. So I use that on the front. But if you want to use the card bases, if you want to make other alternatives or make the cards as they come in the kit, then you just use Night of Navy cardstock. And so I used, again, this designer series paper that comes from the Countryside Inn designer series paper pack, and the stamps for the flowers and for the friend come from the kit, and as well as on the inside. Thank you for your hospitality. I used an extra little bit of designer series paper here, although I had forgotten it till the end. Normally I would probably put it on the left and put the flowers on the right, but whatever, whichever is your preference. So for this one, let me show you how it goes. First of all, I have a pretty peacock layer, same size as the card front, same as this, so 5.5 by 4.25, and I'm going to put that on right away with my multi-purpose liquid glue. And we'll set that aside to dry. And now I have a sheet of basic white that I have cut to 5¼ inches by 4, and I've cut my designer series paper to the same size. So what we need to do, first of all, I think we'll do our stamping first, because the important thing is you want to make sure you have the stamping right, because if you do the fold and get everything else ready and then do stamping at the end and you're not happy with it, you're kind of stuck. So let's do the stamping first, especially on the card. So I am going to make a tiny little mark for the center of the card, which is 2 5/8 inches. So we're going to mark it right here, just a little mark, just so I know where the center is. So that way when I am stamping, I know that I can center my sentiments. So I've got my friend stamp, and I'm going to stamp it 3 times. On this one, I used all 3 colors. Sometimes I do an ombre effect, which is what I'm going to do today for this card. But for this one, I use Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, and Boho Blue. So I made I used the 3 different colors. For this one, I think I'm just going to do ombre. And let me see, we have Fresh Freesia on the other side. Let's use, maybe we'll use Berry Burst for this one. So I'm going to bring that in and stamp the word friend. And now I just need to get good ink on it, and we're going to stamp 3 times without re-inking. And I'm looking to where that center, that little tick mark is. And we're just going to do this. Not bad, a little bit off center, but that's what makes it handmade, right? And then I think we'll leave this out. We're going to also, I'm going to bring in a scrap of white, and we're going to stamp the flower in different colors. So just like I did here, I used Misty Moonlight and I used Boho Blue. This time we're going to use 5 different colors to pick up all of the colors that are in the designer series paper. So we'll do the first one in Berry Burst, since we have it here. And I'm going to move that aside for a second because we're also going to stamp on the inside. Like I said, I used stamps from the set. So we're going to grab Thank You for Your Hospitality. So let me pull the card in. Move this out of the way. And then I'm going to also stamp the flowers, but I think we'll just do 3, and I'm going to use different colors from the Berry Burst. So we're done with that one. Next, let's bring in Pumpkin Pie. And maybe we'll start with that on the inside. And then the same thing on the envelope, so I'm going to bring that in as well. We never want to forget the envelope. And then one on here as well. And I love this. Wait till you see how they cut out. Well, you can see it on the sample too. But there's no white space around the flowers, which is, I think, the first time I've ever seen a die from Stampin' Up! Do that, and I love it. Next, we'll bring in Sweet Sorbet. And we'll do the same thing. We'll stamp it here, just to be on the safe side. And one here. And I overlap them a little bit. You could also mask them if you wanted to, but I didn't want to take the time to do that today. Next, we have Melon Mambo. Let's do this, because I think I'm going to use a different one for here. I think we're going to use the crushed curry. So that is it for Melon Mambo. And last but not least, crushed curry. I think I am going to put that one there because I know it will fit. These I'm going to cut out, so I'm going to put those aside for just a second. We are going to stamp our envelope, so now that's done. You could also put some designer series paper on the back. I will say that looks very elegant, and one of the cards in the kit has that look to it. One of the envelopes, excuse me, has that look to it, so you can do that as well. And I am going to, we've got the inside done, we'll put that back here, and then we're going to work on the rest of the card. But first I'm going to cut out these flowers and be right back. So here are the flowers. I also used the leaf die to cut out 3 different leaves in Pretty Peacock, Lost Lagoon, and Night of Navy, and we'll use those as well. So now I'm going to take my eraser and just get rid of that little mark so that I remember to do it. And then we're going to cut and score the designer series paper. So we again need to mark the center. So I'm going to bring in my ruler and my pencil again. And we're going to mark it again at 2 5/8. So right there, and it's going to be really hard to see. So I'm going to make a line, and then we're going to cut on it anyway, so it won't be seen, but I'm making it so that I can make sure I see it. And then we have to cut 1 3/4 inches up from the end. So I'm going to mark that as well. So my mark is right here. And here's 1 3/4. And hopefully that's straight. I'm just going to put a little mark there so that I know where to stop when I'm cutting. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. And I'm going to do it this way. So I've got my line that I can see right in the channel. And my mark, I believe, I lost it. I think it's right here. Yes, it is right there. So I'm going to cut to that. Beautiful. And now while I have the trimmer, I'm going to score from this point that I cut to the tip on each side. So the easiest way I found to do it is you can use your finger to find the channel so you can make sure that that is in the channel. And then we're going to bring in the scoring blade and score. And then do the same thing on the other side. So find the edge and then the channel. And it's pretty close. And score. So let's see. That was down a little bit, so I'm going to try it again. It was down too far. It needs to be up here. Let's see. Right there. So it is kind of a problem if you have more than one scoring. And I missed this one too, actually, because it's right here. So close. I missed where the dot was. I had the wrong part in the channel, but I think we've got it good now. Yes. So you will see, like, if you really look on this one, you can see there's another score line, but I think for the most part, it won't be noticed. And it really does make it easier to fold it when you do that. So I'm going to fold on the score line, hopefully on the correct one here. But yeah, I think it's difficult to see. I don't think it'll be much of a problem. You could even smooth it out, actually, with your bone folder. Smooth the other one out. And it might be a little less noticeable then. Yes, that is a trick. So I'll do this one too. That kind of flattens it back out and it'll be less noticeable. So we've got our first one, and then we've got one on this side. Same thing, and I'm going to play with it to make sure that it's kind of in the right spot there. And you could just do it without scoring it, but it really is easier to have a line to follow. And now I'm going to put this on this section. Put those together and they match up exactly. So I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue for that. And line it up at the top. And we're good to go there. Next, I'm bringing in my dimensionals. I actually have some left over from last month's kit. So I'm going to put one right at the corner and another one back here. And then the same thing here, except I only have one left. So I'm going to put it here and then snip a little piece of the edge to use on the other side, because we do not waste any part of our dimensionals, of course. Put that one over here. I'm going to take the paper off, and then we're just going to fold it back. So we add a little dimension. And actually we can put it on our card. And if it's easier, you can even put it on your card before you put the dimensionals on. Doesn't matter too much though. Bring that in. Oh, I do like that color. I'm glad I used that. It sort of fades into what looks like the fresh freesia. And now we're going to put our flowers on. So I think I'm going to use this one in the middle. And since we've got the other colors, we'll do this. So I'm just going to set them out and make sure I'm happy with the placement before I actually grab my glue. You can see that one, I kind of goofed up the cutting a little bit, but let's see, maybe I'll do another one. I'm going to do one more of these and be right back. All right, this one's a little better. It's white, but only on one edge, but I'm going to live with that because we can turn the flowers. If there's only white on one part, you can turn the flowers to hide that a little bit. So because they are overlapping, I can tuck it underneath here and no one will be the wiser. And I do think I like that arrangement of colors. So I'm going to use my glue dots. I'm going to leave that one there for placement, but I'm going to put that on with a mini dimensional. So I'm going to grab my glue dot, put that right about here. And the same thing, I'm going to tuck this underneath. And actually, I'm going to move this one down a little bit. I do want it more overlapping that white space. And then too, the ends that are white are less noticeable because of that. But this one will tuck this way. And that one's going to be there. And for this, like I said, a mini dimensional. And we'll turn it this way. Oh, I like that a lot. And now for the leaves, I have put adhesive sheets on the back. I put them on the back before I ran them through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So again, I'm going to decide where I think I want the placement. I'm thinking the navy one may need to be there to show some contrast. And then maybe like that. Yeah, I think that's good. So now all I have to do is peel off the backing. You could also take your pick tool for that. And there we have card number 1 with 2 options, like I said, for the designer series paper. I think I did cut this one a little higher. Maybe I did cut it too high. And I see now that there's a lot of room left, but this is I know this measurement was right. So just double check your measurements. I think I must have seen when I thought I had not gone high enough. I think I was at the right spot for the first one and then saw a dot that must have been in the designer series paper. So clearly if the designer series paper is busier, then it can affect that. But again, nobody would know receiving this card that the measurement was incorrect because it's still a pretty card. So that is card number 1. Here is card number 2. This one looks really fancy, but you'll be surprised at how simple it is to make, although we do need our pencil and our ruler a little bit. But I used, again, that Countryside and Designer Series paper. I ended up using different stamp sets for the sentiments on the front and the inside. I used circle sayings for the happy birthday. Has some other, especially the thank you, I like some other sentiments. And then for the inside, sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. That comes from Very Best Occasions. And again, I did the flowers on the inside. And I did forget to say, I did not cut a piece of Designer Series paper for the inside for that second card, which is why I stamped on the left. But you could stamp on either side, of course. Whoops, we'll put that over here. And let's dive into this one. Now for this one, I'm using, again, a different set of Designer Series paper. This one is called Inked Botanicals. And these are the designs, clearly 6 by 6 instead of 12 by 12 like the other ones. So you can use a whole different color palette. That's what I like about using the stamps, is you can use a whole different color palette and get a completely different look. So we are going to jump right in with that as well. This time I'm actually starting with a pool party card base because I could have used just the front on basic white, but it's already got some layers with what's going on over here, which you'll see in a minute. So I decided that this was better. We're going to use a colored card base, and it's light enough that we can stamp and write on the inside without putting a white layer. We'll put that aside. And then I have a strip of Pretty Peacock, and this one is 2 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And then we have a strip of basic white that is 2 inches by 5 1/2 inches, and that's what we're going to use for our ribbon. So we'll put this aside for now. We could even mount it. Maybe we'll do that because it will help with placement when we do our stamping. So this time we're going to do our stamping last. So we'll put this layer on, leaving just a little mat on the end, or a little space to show the color of the pool party on the left. Straighten it out just a little bit, and then we'll let that dry. So now for this, we have to do some marking, like I said. So I'm going to bring in, I'm not going to bring in my ruler, but I am going to bring in my pencil, because I'm going to use the spaces on the grid paper. These are all 1/4 inch apart, and we need to mark them at this paper at the 1/2 inch, or this cardstock. So you just put a little mark on each side all the way down. And of course, skipping every other one so that it's a 1/2 inch instead of 1/4 inch. And now we know where we're going to place our strips. I have already cut them, so let me bring those in, and hopefully they're still in order. Let's see, yes. And I'm lining them up because I think it'll make for nice placement, and you'll see what I mean once we put them all on. So I'm going to move those out of the way, actually, because we're going to start with the background layer, which is this one, and these don't matter as much. So we start by putting the first layer at the first tick mark on the right, and then it's going to go right to the top of our piece of basic white, right to that corner. So just be a little careful with the glue, because it can be a little messy since it's not going on the whole strip like the rest of them will, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to do this, because it will be plenty to hold it on, and there'll be paper up above it too. So right at that corner, and then up to here. And so for the rest of them, we go from the next tick mark to the next one. So they're all layered that way. So again, I'm going to put my glue in the middle of that space, and lay it down right at the marks. And then I'm going to do the same thing all the way down and be right back. And I discovered I had 7 strips here. One of those was for here. So now I have them all on with my glue, and I'm going to take my scissors and just snip off the excess all the way around. And now I'm going to bring it back in, and for these strips, I'm going to start with the top one, and we're going to lay them like this. Let me see here. Yes, from the top to the bottom of this one. And I find it easier to put the glue here. You can always add more if you feel like the edges are sticking up or something like that, but it's just less messy to me. I really want to have that, more of that blue flower in here. Oh, and I forgot to say the strips are 1/2 inch by 3 inches. You can do 2 1/2 inches if you don't have a design like this. If you have this, these can be cut really at 2 1/2 inches because it doesn't matter the placement. For this one, I'm going to make it so that this lines up here. And so because of that, I made them a little longer so I have a little bit of play. So 2 1/2 inches if you don't care about lining them up, or if the design doesn't lend itself to that, and 3 inches if it does. And then we're going to do this. and I will do the rest and be right back. All right, so you see now here we have the progression. You can see how the flowers all line up. So that's what I was talking about. And this card, I don't know if I said, is called a faux ribbon card. And I think there's another name for it, twisted ribbon. So faux ribbon or twisted ribbon. And I'm gonna just get one little more section here, or two that are not quite at the edge. So that's good. And the first one was called the collar fold card. So now, to make sure it's not, oh, it's a little sticky, but I think we'll be okay. We're gonna put that on there, again with some multi-purpose liquid glue. And in doing this too, I have found that with the 3-inch strips, when you wanna line them up, it's probably best to start at one end, either end of the strip when you're lining it up. And so that's what gives you the play, so that by the bottom, you're moving it a little bit over. So hopefully that makes sense. Now we're gonna do some stamping. So I'm bringing in the vase. And for that, I think I'm gonna use Pretty Peacock. So I thought that was an idea to, you know, a nice idea to pick up that matte color. So we've got Pretty Peacock. And I'm gonna move it up just a tiny bit this time from the way I did the first one. See here. All right, sorry if my head was in the way. I just wanted to get that bottom section again. Love me some photopolymer. And then we're going to stamp 7 flowers. Again, I'm going to use different colors based on the colors that are in the DSP. So I'm not going to use Pretty Peacock, so we'll put that away. All right, so we're going to bring in Pool Party. That's one of the colors. And I think even though it's the background of the card that it will work. Bring in my scrap again. So we'll stamp in Pool Party. In Crushed Curry. In Lost Lagoon. In Petal Pink. And I know people say you could go light, should go lightest to darkest when you're stamping, but if you are cleaning your stamps appropriately in between, oh, that may be a problem. I think we'll do it here again. If you're cleaning your stamps in between, it should not be a problem. And last but not least, Calypso Coral. And again, I'm not going to necessarily do it on camera, but I would also do the same thing with the flowers on the inside. I think this time I may put them here. So, well, I guess we could do that. We'll put the Calypso Coral in there. And I will do the rest off camera. And I will cut these out on off camera, and I will be right back. And I did make a mistake. I said 7 flowers, but I only stamped 5 on camera. So I did stamp a couple more. One more in Lost Lagoon and one more in Petal Pink. So we do need 7. And I did the envelope in the inside, and then we're just going to stamp the sentiment on the inside and then continue with our assembly. So the inside sentiment is sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. And we're going to stamp that in Pretty Peacock. Okay. And so our stamping, oh, that's right, is done except for the outside. While we have that Pretty Peacock, we're going to stamp Happy Birthday. And we're going to do it about here. I did do it at the end after I placed the flowers, but I think that'll be fine. So our stamping is done. And now we finish our assembly of the flowers. So what I did was lay them out, and I did the same thing. I bumped up the middle one with dimensionals, and for this one I used 2 Night of Navy, 2 Misty Moonlight, and 3 Balmy Blue. This time we have a little bit more variety of color. I think maybe we'll use the Calypso Coral for the center. So I kind of just placed the flowers around until I was happy with them, and then kind of reverse engineered just like I did with the other card. And keeping in mind, actually maybe this one will go here. I wanted sort of overlap. I was going to stamp the stems. There's a stem in the pack, but I kind of didn't want to mess with that. I wanted it to look like a pot of overflowing flowers. So it's going to be something like this. So yeah, I think I'll start with the bottom ones and kind of work my way around. Same as before, using my glue dots. So like I said, I think it's easier to start with the bottom so you can place it the way you want to on the vase, on the pot, excuse me. This is going to be in the middle, so I'm again going to kind of keep it there for reference. And I do want it to be out a little bit from the way it was the last time. If I can do that, make it look a little fuller. But I didn't want to add anything because I wanted to keep with the odd numbers. So actually, and then this one, again, I'm going to grab my dimensionals, my minis, and put one on the back. Oh yeah, I like that Calypso coral in the middle. I probably, let me see, I think I'm going to rearrange these two. I think those pinks are too close together. So of course I just goofed up my glue dot, but guess what? You can always fix that too. I'm going to peel it off the back and grab a new one and place it on this side. And this one still looks good, so we'll put that back here, tuck it underneath. And I did pull up the cardstock a little, but no one will be the wiser. Oh yeah, I like that placement better. So that is it. That is card number 2, all done, including the envelope. So let me bring in the first 2, which were these. And I hope you like them all. I hope you like my alternatives for this month's kit. Going with a little bit fancier, but not difficult, as you saw. It really didn't take a lot to put the faux ribbon together, or the fold is really just a fold, so that was good too. So I hope you like them. Thanks so much for joining me every month. I really, really, really appreciate you watching and leaving me some love in the comments and some likes. It really helps to motivate me to do the alternatives. And while you're around, check out my other videos, cards, scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and techniques, beginner videos. Hopefully something there for everyone. And I just realized, looking at this, I put this one on upside down from the way that I laid it out, but guess what? It doesn't matter. It works both ways. So you can do whichever placement you like, and it works either way. Look at that, happy accident. So that's why I stopped talking. I realized that it looked different, but I like both of them. So you have your choice with how to line it up, right side up or upside down. And especially for this one, it wasn't directional. Like this one would not have worked upside down, but this one of course does. All right, so thanks again for watching me, and remember to subscribe, click on the bell, and you'll be notified when I post new videos. And I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.